to add on to a program, so the program will have not just the condition to check to see if the key is pressed, any key, so if key press equals true, but to make it a specific key, we're going to use something called a nested if statement. That's one if statement inside the other. So right now, this curly bracket and this curly bracket surround the conditions inside key pressed to check to see that will only happen if any key is pressed. If I want to make it a specific key, let's say E for ellipse, I'm going to put another if statement in here, and another variable built into processing is key, and that takes a character, so any letter or number, or the space bar, or some simple punctuation. So I'm going to say key equals equals. Again, equals equals is checks for equality. E in single quotes for a character, and I open this parentheses. Now, this parentheses, this open curly bracket rather, needs a closed curly bracket to close this conditional, and because the if key pressed has one down here, but we only have the open one for here, and your curly brackets always need to come in pairs. So now this curly bracket closes here, this curly bracket closes the key pressed, and we still have the one down here that closes drop. So now, if I play my program, if I hit any other key, you're going to have to take my word for it that I'm hitting other keys, no red circle, but if I hit the E, there it is. I could make another conditional statement inside. So say if I wanted to have this rectangle only appear if I hit the R key. So I'm going to Control X to delete it. Delete a couple lines, save some space. After the curly bracket that closes the condition that checks to see if E is pressed, but before the curly bracket that closes key pressed, I'm going to add a new conditional statement if key equals R. I'm going to close that curly bracket here. So this is sort of one if statement here, and this is a separate if statement here inside of key pressed. Notice it's not that all the curly brackets are closed down here, because then this if statement is actually inside this if statement, which is then inside this if statement. We want these two to be two separate things, because otherwise you'd have to hit the R key after hitting the E key to make this work in the way, and that actually wouldn't work because of the way the key variable works. So these are two separate ones. So now if I play it, I'll only see that line, and if I hit the E, I get the ellipse, and I hit the R, and I get the rectangle. And again, they're only appearing while I hold down those keys, because this is inside a key pressed. So the key pressed has to be true, and one of those keys has to be true. If I don't want them to disappear, you actually can not include the if key pressed, because the nature of the variable key, if I hit E, the variable key will be assigned the letter E, and it will stay E until I hit a different key, which will assign the variable key a different letter. So whenever you hit a key, processing stores that key, whatever number, letter, or simple punctuation it is, will be stored in the key variable until you hit another key. So this program now, if I hit E, the ellipse will stay. I picked up my finger. If I hit R, the rectangle will stay. If I hit another letter, a different value has been assigned to key, and so neither of these statements is true anymore. But again, if I hit E, then key has now the value of E. It's the same way if you initialize the variable x, for example, as 0. X has a value of 0 until you give x a different value. If you say x equals x plus 1, then x will be 1, and it will no longer have the value of 0. So it's the same idea, except key is just a variable that's built into processing that stores whatever key was hit last.